I'm very methodical when it comes to business and structure. So the first thing I thought of, okay, cool. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know I'm looking for a solution. So I registered my company.
Yeah.
My company is actually called Tired Ass Mum because that's how I
So that's
felt.
the umbrella.
That's the umbrella.
Okay.
And then I was exploring different products and services that could amplify mum
Got
and
you.
make her
Okay.
even more of a superhuman.
I'm welcoming Nyah onto the Future Include podcast. Welcome, Nyah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in this morning. I know it's a cold morning and we're in winter here in London. And you made the journey. You found the studios.
I definitely have. It's been a thing this morning.
But no, we appreciate you coming on. We want to unpack your journey to becoming the tech founder as you are kind of like now. But yeah, I just wanted to welcome you to the stage. I know you back in the day as a musician, as an artist. I was in the raves back in the day. We haven't spoken about all this yet, but I was there. I was on all the different islands. I was listening to all your different tunes. And then kind of like now, current day, you know, I know you as a technology founder. And we want to speak about that journey that you've taken to becoming that. Give the audience a brief insight into kind of like your background, who you are, and where you're from.
Well, my name's Nyah. Some people might know me as Princess Nyah, as you so kindly mentioned my history in the music business. I'm a mother, and I have been an entrepreneur for the best part of my life. I think my last job, I know my last job was Foot Locker in Oxford Street. I worked there when they opened the store with Run DMC, and that was my last payslip. My last P45, my last P60, all of the things. So entrepreneurship has been a massive part of me and who I am. So I started off not even in the music business. I actually had my first ever company called Billionaire Girls Club very many moons ago, where I wanted to empower women to be the best versions of themselves through a design of t-shirts. And that kind of launched me into my entrepreneur shoes. And then at the same time, I was doing music because I wanted to be a musician. Working at Foot Locker really inspired me. The things that always stood out to me were you had the Mike GLCs outside the shop every week selling mixtapes by the and then everyone used to come in for the 2 for 20 Nike t-shirts for the summer holidays. Like everyone, whatever island you went to, you had someone wearing one of the 2 for 20. So fashion and music was always a massive part of me and something that I was interested in. So launching my first fashion business didn't really come as a surprise. I was forever working on music, wanted to be a rapper first. Little Kim was my idol, kind of still is, the old Little Kim. And yeah, I fell into music. I was raving all the party islands. I think I traveled to, I think it was Iron Apple one year, and I went to red carpet, Super D's red carpet. And I remember getting off the plane, throwing my stuff down. We went straight to red carpet, and we're in there, and I just hear KEBs tell me, boom, boom, boom. And they reloaded it about 6 times. And I think it was at that point I felt like, I need to do, and I want to do a funky house song. And then, I fell into the funky house.
It's incredible, a journey. And like, I was there them similar times as well in INAP and all the things. We were actually filming at the time for Out the End back in the day. But yeah, kind of like, we speak about that journey in terms of becoming a tech founder and the early foundations that laid that. You spoke about Mike GLC, I remember him on Oxford Street, your experience of retail. And I think those early foundations we speak about a lot in entrepreneurship and kind of like what that then gives you later on in life. So like when you was at Foot Locker, you would have been working on logistics, you would have been working on point of sale systems, you would have been working on customer service, just understanding that full retail value chain. And
Absolutely.
you took that into your
and also the
fashion
culture.
business.
I feel like the culture, the Foot Locker, I don't know about now, but back then there was definitely a culture that Foot Locker had. And you walked into the store and it was like, ba ba boom. Like it was a thing. And I think that without realizing it at the time, it definitely shaped me to run my own business. Like team morale was very important to me, making sure that anybody that worked for me understood what we stand for as a business. And a lot of that did come from Foot Locker.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I was in Camden a few years earlier. Actually works in the Camden store as well. well.
I ain't
Yeah,
gonna mention their
so I
names,
know
but I knew the store
exactly.
managers
I
of
know
Camden.
exactly what you're talking about. A US family company as well that come into the UK and all of that kind of like great customer service and that team spirit that they built
Do you
within
remember the lease
the
line?
store. Of course I do. I remember the upsells on the accessories and a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
the
that
multi
kind of
sales.
multi sales, which is actually new to the UK,
Very
right?
new, very
Going
new.
in and upselling a customer and all
Yeah,
those kind of
and I worked
things.
for Foot Locker before I got to Oxford Street. I actually started in Watford,
Oh
like when I was
wow,
about 16,
that was one of the
and
first
I was on
stores, right?
commission then.
Yeah.
Like I used to get my monthly commission because I was like, you are buying these inner souls, okay? You are buying them.
Love this.
So yeah, it definitely the US culture is just it was so different back then,
Mm,
like compared to what it is like in the UK. But as you said, it's something that definitely I feel like shaped me, and
yeah.
also I feel like watching like my general manager at Full Locker was black. Big shouts out to David Brown.
Okay.
He made me realize that okay, we can be in big positions. This isn't.
Mm,
I'm not just a sales assistant. I ended up store manager of
mm,
Kilburn,
yeah.
working all the way through there. So it made me realize at a young age anything is possible for us if you
Mm.
really want to do it, and that's what kind of made me get into my entrepreneur
That's
life.
incredible. I love that. Like just that insight. And at the time when you were going through it, you probably didn't think of that. It was kind of like that store manager being your mentor, kind of like,
100%.
him, you learning from that person and that influence of that business entity coming from the US to the UK. And we're going to speak about entrepreneurship in the US, entrepreneurship in the UK in later on in this podcast actually, because that's a good comparison you've just made between the UK and the US
Hmm.
and kind of like their culture versus ours. Okay, so music, fashion, retail experience, all the things that kind of like fueled you. Give the listeners an insight into kind of like what your journey into becoming a tech fan. Like what was the catalyst there? Because
The trigger.
yeah, the trigger. Because I think a lot of the hurdles that we speak about, on socials, online, is that people have got ideas, but actually like building a tech company is a hurdle in itself.
Yeah.
What was the steps that you took to
I think for
founding
me,
yours?
primarily, I didn't see it as a tech business first. I didn't even
Okay.
know what tech founder meant, to be totally honest with you.
Mm,
I had my daughter in 2017, was really excited to become a mom, thought it was going to be a piece of very easy, I'll say that. Thought it was going to be a walk in the park. And then she came and I soon realized what the hell is going on. This is not entrepreneurship. I compared everything to being a business owner because I'm
mm,
like, look, if I can run a company, I can have a child. It's not
mm,
that's nothing. Anyway, had her within 3 weeks. I was performing with Deneo, and I'd left her with my mum. And at that point, I realized I can't be in two places at once. And I love my mum. I trust her. I love her dad, trust him, but no one's going to do for my daughter like I'm
mm.
going to do for my daughter. And then getting myself back into work, doing all the things, I realized that when I'm away from her, the phone would always ring. Where are the nappies?
Yeah,
Where is the milk?
yeah,
Oh, I'm at home, but the phone's still ringing. What shoe size is she? I'm in Foot Locker. I'm
yeah.
gonna get her some trainers. And I just thought to myself, why is it that mum has to be the oracle of all things pertaining to my child?
Mm,
I'm a first time mum, so if you don't know and you're a first time dad, what makes you think I have the answer? And I felt like I was being forced to choose. Do I
mm,
stand behind my daughter and let go of all of my dreams and aspirations? Or is there a way to do both?
mm.
And I went back to me being on maternity leave and leaving my company. I had a t-shirt printing business at the
Okay.
time. And I left. But everything ran smoothly. Nobody rang
Mm,
me. No one had to say, no, where are the t-shirts? Where is this? And I looked at what I had built and I'd built systems.
incredible.
There was solid systems, which means everybody could troubleshoot without me.
Mm,
And then I looked at my house and I realized there's no system here. The system is me.
mm,
And which means everyone plugs into me for the answers, which is okay, I get it. So what could I create that would almost not replace me, but
mm.
amplify me so that I could be supercharged? And that's where the idea for Tribe
Love
came.
this. So,
So yeah, it wasn't tech. It was just like, what could it be?
okay, so you started off, you were solving a problem, right? And it was actually a real
Real life problem.
problem for yourself. And I think those are the best businesses that we see, right? If we look at Amazon or any of the big businesses that are out there, you're solving a real problem. So you're still an entrepreneur. You're just throwing in kind of like all
All the
these
different
additional
things.
businesses, right? T-shirt printing company. Let's talk about solving that problem and what steps you took to kind of like forming formulating that company and like taking it to the next stage?
Okay, so I'm very methodical when it comes to business and structure. So the first thing I thought of, okay, cool. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know I'm looking for a solution. So I registered my company.
Yeah.
My company is actually called Tired Ass Mum because that's how I
So that's
felt.
the umbrella.
That's the umbrella.
Okay,
And then I was exploring different products and services that could amplify mum
got
and
you.
make her
Okay.
even more of a superhuman. And then the idea for the operating system came up. And it was like, okay, how am I going to get her dad to look at something like he's looking at the football results? Yeah. Like, how am I going to get him to engage like this is, I don't know, what's that game he plays? Well, the PlayStation games. Like, how am I going to do that? So I thought, okay, cool. If it's tech, then everybody can be synced in with the tech because it's tech, you know? So that's where the idea for the app came about. And I literally sat down in a coffee shop in Harlesden one day. That's where I grew up. I went back to Harlesden in the coffee shop and I drew around my phone. And a friend of mine said, just draw it out visually how you'd want it to look. I drew around my iPhone and I just started sketching out pages. And then it just kind of developed from there. So all of the words, and when I say the words like the tech founder and the SaaS and all of the things I feel like I'm only getting to grips with them now. Because for me, yes, it's an app, but it's more than an app.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, it's a game changer. So that's kind of like how I got into understanding that it was tech that I was building. And it basically came from other people when I was telling them my idea. They're like, oh, yeah, that's, yeah, you're doing tech. Yeah. Oh, that's SaaS. Yeah, software as a service. I'm like, oh, okay.
So you were doing live market research, you were doing your own research, you were doing your, your product development just as you went on, right? And I
Yep.
think that's a great kind of like bit of advice for people just in terms of getting started, because I think that's the hurdle that a lot of potential entrepreneurs have, and just that getting started. You went to a coffee shop, you sketched your ideas in your iPhone, and it can be as simple as that in terms of you formulating those, taking those ideas in your mind and putting them actually on paper, so to speak. So tell us, what is Trybe, and kind of like what is the elevator pitch? Like, what is it?
Well, Trybe is basically is mum's intuition. So everything that you think needs to be done for your children, it's an amplified version of that. That dad, nan, if you have a nanny, auntie, whoever's looking after your children for you when you're not there, has access to, so they can deliver the same service that you give to your child. You know, like one of my big things is like, I want to raise a champion child. I want my daughter to have every single thing possible to her that is going to make her the best version of herself. And growing up in my family, my mum didn't really teach me about financial literacy. There was no real understanding of what a credit card was. So when my mum's looking after her, I'm like, hey, man, we don't want to be these things. We don't want them passing on. So it's her to be able to look into the app and get a tip of what should I do with my granddaughter today? What game should I play with her? What level is she at? What is she into? What is she not into? How do I do her hair? My mum's white. My daughter has very black hair. So it's like all of the things that I would worry about, I don't have to worry about because they can plug in. And the same thing for a dad. It's like having a daughter and communicating with your daughter and understanding your daughter's emotions and the way that, like yesterday they were playing and I think they went to the supermarket or something and he done a trick where, he tapped his shoulder and then she turned and then he gave her a flick in the head and then they were laughing and then they got home and then he must have made a joke about, they was doing a joke and then she clapped him in the head and I was dying and he clapped her back and it was like, and then he couldn't understand why she was so upset. And I'm like, yeah, because she's a girl and she is not understanding context and, levels and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like the app is there for him to then say, this happened today. Like, how best can I handle that with my daughter? And then the app give him a suggestion to say X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
So it's for everything.
Yeah.
It's everything like that.
So Tired Ass Mum, umbrella company, you came to the idea of Trybe and that you solved that problem statement. What was the next step you took after that ideation? You've done a lot of market research, you spoke to friends. Like, what was the next step after that? Just give our audience a kind of like...
So my journey, I feel like I'm a real fail fast person. I'll throw everything at it. I'll run towards it. However, I do have a small amount of perfection syndrome as well. So I feel like one of the hardest things for me was letting that app out on beta, knowing that this is not what I want it to be like, okay? But when you are bootstrapping, which many young Black businesses are, you have to be really, you have to be aware that this is a problem that I'm having, but is there real market validation here? Like, do people really want to solve this problem as much as I do? And I think the next thing for me was, even before I built my rough version of the app, like I drew it out, I went and I done questionnaires. I sent questionnaires to mums, to dads, to see what problems they were suffering with. So then that way, in my first iteration, I could try and solve those problems. So being a one-man band, I went to a website called Upwork and hired internationally because it is it's cost effective. And I had my demo done by somebody internationally, which cost me a lot less. First of all, I did have conversations with people in England, but I was getting like the 35K and the 60K for apps that who wants this. So I done that, and then I literally I launched.
Wow, that's a big hurdle that you've done. So like, these platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, etc. Things can go wrong on those platforms in terms of putting requests for work out and kind of like, how did you
Loads of
sift through
things.
that process? Because, and again, another thing now is that, the advancement of AI. When did you build Tribe, like the
It
first
was
iteration?
just before.
2018 or?
No, it was we launched 2024.
Okay, sorry.
So we had
Yeah.
ChatGPT in our app, but it
Okay.
was a bit early because people
Yeah.
didn't even understand what it was.
Okay. So the early version was developed when 20.
Before AI.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
pre-AI. So you've got Lovable and all the others out now, and it just
Exactly.
helps a lot of people kind of like ideate and kind of like get those early, beta versions out. How did you find that person at work? What was the communication flow like?
Well,
How did you know to trust them?
Okay, I think, but this goes back to your earlier observation of me being a serial entrepreneur. Been there, done that. I've hired loads of people. I've hired somebody to build me a fashion website. One day I've logged on, website's gone, babes. It's not there anymore. Emailed the guy, he's gone, he's vanished into whatever country and rock that he came from in the beginning. So I've already done that. So for me, the due diligence was that everything that is being created is all the login, everything that needs setting up, I set up myself. You are logging into my CRM, my system, so that I have that control. Referencing, show me the work that you've done, and then put me in contact with the person so I can see, is this really your work? I've been sent screen grabs of marketing stuff that this is someone else's, but because I've already done that, I was more prepared this time. And you have to be willing to know that it's not going to go right.
Yeah.
The language barriers, the understanding that if you are hiring internationally, that it can go wrong, but it can go wrong over here as well. And just being resilient. But I feel like if you are hiring internationally, the easiest thing is just make sure you own everything. So if you have a PA, you set up your email address and they have access to, it's not the other way around. And I think that's where sometimes things get lost in translation, and having realistic expectations as well. If somebody is selling you the moon, you ain't getting the moon. It's not coming to you. So I think that's something that you really have to understand as well. Like, I think one of the first jobs that was like a newish job, like, because I've hired people to do data entry and graphics and stuff like that. But one of the first things was the screens, like, getting and I didn't understand that, okay, but this isn't it because I'm going to need more screens. And then like, it's a bit of a minefield. And I think that making sure that whoever you hire, you show up to them as your authentic self. Like when I hire and I interview, I'm like, guys, this is me. Sometimes I'm a bit rough around the edges. Sometimes I explain things, but I've explained it wrong. So you really need to clarify with me. Sometimes I want to communicate on Trello. Sometimes it's WhatsApp. Sometimes it's email. Sometimes we're doing a group call. You have to fit in with the way I work. Yes, you wake up at whatever time you wake up, but I wake up at this time, which means you need to work at this time. I set my expectations of my team from the first ever interview, and I say, you can bow out now because I understand I'm intense.
I love it.
But the ones that don't, that's my tribe.
I didn't want to stop you there. You just dropped so many gems for upcoming like first time founders. You've literally just gone through the playbook in terms of hiring, due diligence, like going through all the balance and checks. And I think that is incredible. My advice for the audience is definitely reach out to other founders like Nyah and other, just to kind of like see who they've recruited and what their experiences are of those people, whether you can use the same developer or the same full stack dev that, that Nyah's used, or the same UX person, etc. It's just an easier process taking a referral from someone. Not to say that it's
100%.
definitely 100% going to go right for you, but learning from mistakes of others is definitely a helpful exercise.
Yeah, and someone like most founders I would assume are the same, but I'm happy to refer my guys. There are guys that have worked for me for like $50, and I'm like, now it's time, go, run forth, get more work, because they're amazing. So definitely reach out to people and get the recommendation. And as you said, but sometimes it's not the right fit. Like somebody that works for me and understands me might not be that person for you, and that's okay as well.
And I just want to amplify, just before I forget, another thing you just said is really, really important. Even for like non-technical founders, the fact that you've got an understanding of setting up your own CMS, setting up your own email, and that that employee logs into that email and communicates via that. All of that ownership and that foundation is so important, as you said. Like, if things go wrong, you still have ownership, and you can easily shift to
Yeah,
another
you
developer
can,
and
or you could
onboard
just
someone
lock someone
else.
out. It's like, but
Yeah.
and also if you do intend to do that, don't let them know before you've changed all the credentials. Okay, it's savage, but you
Yeah.
have to protect your
Yeah.
own IP. Like it's so important. Like this year is the first year I got a server, so I got my first server. As everyone says, content is king. So we're filming 24/7 round the clock, and I've got someone that helps me do the editing, and the WeTransfers and the Google Drive of it all. It was becoming like so ended up getting our own server. But again, everything comes with complications. It's a brand new thing for me to learn. It's when you're in your founder boots, it's a forever learning game. There's no day off of learning. If you take a day off from learning, it's like taking a year out of the business, like literally. So I think that just try things. And I feel like founders now are in a space where they have AI, which is a luxury. But at the same time, sometimes it can be a minefield. And if you put it into your Claudes and your Chat GPTs, a lot of information, sometimes it comes back with so much stuff. You're very overwhelmed. What am I meant to do first? So however much they're great to amplify, in the beginning, live with your mind. Your brain is so powerful. Write down the steps and just walk towards it on your own. And that's okay,
Nice. Just one other thing that I just thought of our audience is going to want to know as well is pricing of tech resources and comes in. Like,
Sorry.
How did you? So it's a contentious subject. This is so upfront fees. Like, how did you agree to that pricing and ensure that it doesn't scale out of control? Because you know how it goes when you're developing a tool. Other add-ons start coming on later on, other months, or you might, just start bolting on other things. Would that person on a retainer? Did you agree an upfront fee? Like, what was the model that you went with to build Trybe?
What, in terms of the person building my app?
Yes, yeah. And was it one person or was it a team?
No, I'm on my third person.
Okay.
No, so the first person that I hired, we just agreed for complete completion for
Okay.
a specific price.
Got you.
And then after that, they decided they didn't want to do this particular role anymore in their own life. So then I had to find somebody else. And the software we actually built on was a software called Adalo, which is like, so this is like is it Lovable that you said?
Yeah.
It's similar to that,
Okay.
but it's like an earlier one.
Got
So
you.
more limitations, all of that jazz. So then I hired somebody else to basically figure it out the next step. And then that person decided they wanted too much money, and it was like, okay. So then the third person, who's still with me now, even though we're going to be doing a native app, I spoke to him about the purpose of the company and where we're going. And I showed him my bank account. I said, this is how much money I got. So if you think you're going to need more after this, it ain't happening. I said, so you can just say no now.
Yeah.
And he laughed and he said, okay. And I said, but what I can do is I can help you get other work. I just need someone to just dig in with me here. And I was lucky to find him. So for me, it's letting everybody be very understanding of the budget. Telling people that you have a few peanuts in your bag and that's it. It's okay. It doesn't scare everybody. Some people do see the long-term value in what you're doing and want to jump on. Not everyone, because I've hired people that say, yeah, nah, I'm going to need this. And it's like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to have to pay. But I think just being very transparent, because things can spiral out of control. And then one tip that I've got, if you're doing tech and you're a non-technical founder, 'cause I'm non-technical, is checking how long things take to build. So find something everyone's building apps these days. Someone's going to be able to give you an answer, and even ChatGPT would be able to give you some answer. So when you're interviewing, you can ask really basic questions. Like one of my questions was, how long will it take to input the ChatGPT plugin into this app?
Yeah.
Someone told me a day. Someone told me 3 weeks. I remember these are all billables.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I know you from the get-go. Then if you've told me that someone said they can do it for 3 hours and you've told me it takes 3 weeks, and then I already had the answer because I already knew how long it took because I spoke to somebody that builds apps. So then that can give you a notion of someone's sincerity and whether or not they're going to be forthcoming with real information, or are they just going to try and bleed you dry? I feel like that is a really small tip, but it helped me find Frederick. Shouts out to Frederick. So yeah, because he was honest, man. He told me, and I can do that in like 90 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay, that's $16.
That is brilliant. Like, you've just given so much advice. Just the one other angle for people, as potential entrepreneurs, is that did you ever think of giving up equity rather than like paying someone for cash? Was that because that's another avenue that some founders
Yeah,
go
I
down?
have. Like, so this year's the year where I've really been trying to build my team out, like my boots on the ground team.
Mm,
Because however nice it is to have a team that's international, we all sit on Zoom and have our Christmas party in our own locations around the world. Having somebody here with
mm,
me is very, very, very important. So, and I'm non-technical, so I thought one of the roles I really wanted to fill this year was a CTO position.
mm,
So I did entertain equity exchange, absolutely, because I think you have to think of the long-term plan for your
yeah.
company, where you want to go, and who's going to add value. And having a strong CTO is only going to add weight and
Mm,
value. It didn't work out because we couldn't really agree on
yeah.
the terms. But I hired a CTO this week.
Oh,
There's no
congrats.
equity exchange yet,
Yeah.
but we're working towards what that might look like if we work out together. Because when you're hiring people of these statures into your
Mm,
company, like as I say when I'm interviewing, it's like, yeah, like you're basically going to be like my husband, you're like my tribe's
yeah.
dad, so like are you going to be able to put up with me when I'm on my period and I'm extremely emotional?
Mm,
Like all these things have to really be navigated out. So
mm,
if you're giving away equity, which I don't see a problem with, you just have to make sure that the person is locked in, and also there's a get out clause. Because another thing that I always say when I'm recruiting is, if you end up hating me, I will not stop loving you.
yeah.
Just tell me you've had enough
Yeah.
and give me a week to replace you.
Yeah.
Please, or a month. So yeah, I just think being very transparent. Like even with this CTO that I've hired, part of the interview process is we went and played badminton,
Mm,
and he's never played badminton before. So I just wanted to see how do you play? If you've never played before, how are you going to play? Are you going to be frustrated? Are you going to let me win? This is the
yeah.
most important thing. No, he never. He nearly took my eye out with the shuttlecock. Yeah, and I thought, yes, my guy.
That is, again, you've just dropped so much advice. I think the relationship piece is where we hear a lot of, startups, just dissolving and kind of like breaking down because of the relationships between early stage
But
kind
do
of
you
like
think that's because
founders
a lot
and
of them are friends
and
normally?
co-founders. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
all sorts of different dynamics that cause issues within startups. So that's great advice that you shared, and I love the fact that you just done a sporting game with someone that you're just
Yeah, he
gonna
nearly took my eye out.
gonna
And right at the
onboard.
end, I shook his
Yeah,
hand and said, "You passed the interview." He said, "Interview," and he started laughing. I
yeah,
thought he gets me, so
yeah,
this could possibly have a good chance at
yeah.
working.
And the fact that you mentioned, terms and clauses again, if someone's your friend, it's not the easiest conversation to have. You have to have that conversation, right? It has to be a legal binding document,
100%.
and you need to, have preferential terms as you yourself as the founder. So you've dropped a lot of great advice there.
But I do think, sorry, just to add one thing,
Mm,
this goes back to the training ground of entrepreneurship.
yeah.
Like I set up my first business with one of my best friends.
Mm,
It didn't end very well. And I remember my granddad, I sat down and I told him I was going into business with my friend, and we got the World Takeover Billionaire Girls Club, blah, blah. And he said, okay, cool, but I don't think you should go into business with your friend. And I said, no, but it's great, granddad, because blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, but one person really knows what they want, and the other person likes what the other person wants. And at some stage, the dynamic will change. And it did, and it didn't work, and it was uncomfortable. But now I realize that there's a way to hire somebody. And I think the transparency from the beginning is very, very important. But that comes from yourself, because you have to know who you are first. And I think I was a bit younger then, I didn't really know who I was. So I was just running towards it. And if you can't keep up, then I thought you're not really interested in this business. And that might not even have been the case. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the terms in the beginning are important, but they're uncomfortable conversations. No one wants to
100%.
talk about that. Well, I want 85%.
Yeah, full preferential rights and everything. So yeah, you just dropped so many gems there, and I hope everyone's got their kind of like notepad out into all of those kind of like items that failing fast learning you spoke about that really articulately. Let's talk about Tribe now and what's like next in terms of like the phase for the future.
So I'm pre-seed,
Yeah.
looking to raise my first round in the first quarter of next year, entertaining investment conversations. But again, investment is not, I realize now, although investment could appear like everything, investment is not everything. The right investor is absolutely everything. So for me, it's like finding somebody that understands where I'm taking this, where I want to go, and the fact that parents all over the world are struggling. And if you change the dynamic in the house, you change the productivity of the parents, but then you change the productivity of the children. And then the children just have a better shot at surviving in this place that we call the world. The budget announcements came out the other day, and it's just like another ring, like they're just trying to wring everyone's necks. And it's like, how do we relieve pressure? And the third massive problem in relationships in the household is the children. Number one is sex, and number two is finance. So it's like, if you can fix the communication, then wifey's going to want to give you some. So then you kind of fix the sex, you know, the money that just comes with productivity. But I feel like this problem that I'm trying to solve and I am solving is going to have a positive effect all around, you know, and it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but it is for a lot of people out there. I get messages all the time of people I've spoken to and they're like, can we download the app yet? Because my wife's using this app, but it doesn't do what your app does. And I'm like, cha-ching, it's coming.
I love that. You're getting demand already, yeah.
Getting the demand.
And so, like, from this pre-seed, hopefully you have a successful raise. Like, what would that enable for Trybe, like, in terms of, like, the next phase?
So basically, it would give us room to employ and increase our staff, and then pump some money into the development of the actual technology, and then leave some money for marketing and promotion. Because at the moment, I've done everything organically.
Yeah.
There's been no ad spends or anything. Just doing it as, you know, content is king, just pumping up as much content as I can.
Yeah. And who's your kind of, obviously it's parents, but is there a kind of like different segment of parents? Is it kind of like demo based in terms of like the 8 and 24s or 25 to 36? Like where are you targeting specifically?
We kind of fall like 30 to 40, late 40s, I would say.
Yeah.
The working woman, the woman that's managing a lot of stuff. That's basically who my ideal client is. It's like the woman that needs, the woman that's doing everything that just needs a little bit of respite, that doesn't even realize that she needs respite. Yeah. Like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, I see a lot of stuff on social media and they make it out like, oh, you're so tired and mum, is life a mess? And it's like, babes, life ain't a mess. I'm doing this. However, with Trybe, it's just going to amplify. Yeah. It's just going to amplify and it's just going to make life a little bit easier. Like, there's so many small invisible loads that parents carry that no one talks about. Like, even, like, we have a section in the app called Memories where you can just upload videos, pictures, school reports or whatever. But you can notify family members all at the same time. Oh, nice. So, like, so both nans receive the same information at the same time. So I'm not going to hear, but nobody's calling me and telling me and I didn't know. And, oh, I knew last. And it's like these small things can add stress that you don't even realize is living in the back of your head. Just take that all away. Nice. Trybe just becomes the person. No, it's all on Trybe, guys. You all got the notification. Oh, yes, it's fine. Yeah. And I, like, when we was trialing it out last year, so we had it over Christmas and I done my daughter's Christmas list, shared it. Guys, pick what you're buying. Splish, bosh, bam. This year, no list, chaos. Everybody's ordered binoculars. You know, it's like, really? So it's just very, very small things that can just have such a massive change in a person's day.
Got you. And then your pitch deck, are you like focused on the UK? Like, what's the market expansion? How are you looking at like families outside of the UK?
Okay, so I travelled to Dubai for the GITEX event that they had, and like I was exploring what it looks like over there in the Middle East, and I feel like for now we're definitely just going to concentrate on the UK. The marketing strategies for different countries is going to be really, really different. Over there, mums want the app for their nannies.
Yes.
they're okay. So I think that definitely right now we're going to be focused on the UK, but there is an international global market of people that are definitely going to be able to benefit from this, but you have to start modest, you know. And I think maybe 5 years ago if you'd asked me, I'd be like, no, we're marketing to Mars. It's going everywhere. It's global. Now I'm like, okay, cool. We need to be a bit strategic and definitely focused on the UK.
Well, it's a big enough addressable market, of course, like the UK. There's lots of families that need that help. But obviously, expansion is the attractive element for investors, obviously, in the future. What's next for Nyah in terms of obviously growth of Trybe, but like what else are you kind of like up to? Give us an insight.
Do you know what? For the first time, I think in 20 years, I'm solely focused on one thing.
Brilliant.
I was still performing up to 3 weeks ago and I decided I'm going to have a break. I'm going to put pause on everything other than what I'm doing for Trybe. I am a person that loves to spin a lot of plates, keeps me very active, keeps me very busy. But I've realised now, and I've come to the stage, the Nyah in 5 years is dependent on what I do today. Okay. And what I do today is I go to the gym, I work out, even though I hobbled in here with my little injury. I work out, focus on my business, I motivate my team, and I'm just forever living in a space of where and how am I going to get Trybe where I need to get it. So if it's not aligned with Trybe, you probably won't see me there. Because I'm a person that I still love music. I love all the music events. I love we're not doing that right now. And all the small ideas that always pop up, because I've told you a few things that I've done, but I have had many businesses, I've had many companies, many ideas. I'm sitting on a whole EP that I recorded in Ghana last year. Okay. But the time now is It's for
Tribe.
Tribe. Yeah.
As you've just shown there, you've got the branding, you've got the purple, outfit on as well. Tribe's obviously the focus for you, Naya. And we'll be looking to hear more information about Tribe. We'll put a link in our description where to
Love that.
download or get more information on the app. But we welcome you and thank you for coming
Thank you for having
to
me.
Future Included podcast. And we look forward to hearing more about your founder journey and the future of Tribe.
Yeah, hopefully I'll come back with the updates.
Amazing. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.